I wanted to quickly start off. I know it's a couple weeks ago now, but I wanted to get your quick comment on the Rutherford interview that he did with regards to all the shenanigans that are happening in the Canucks roster, because it's something you don't see a lot of the time, and people are always screaming for honesty from your president, your GM, and we finally got it. And it kind of caused a real storm. What are your thoughts on that tactic from Jim Rutherford?
At first, it was pretty confusing because it came at the end of the first time they won back-to-back games since December, and spirits were pretty high after they beat St. Louis. That was probably the best game they played all season. And then the next thing you know is Jim Rutherford is just going absolutely crazy, just crucifying his locker room to Gary Mason. A quick note about Gary Mason. In Brian Burke's book, he talks about there's four reporters that he really hates: Steve Simmons, Gary Mason, Tony Gallagher, and there's a fourth one. I can't remember his name, but pretty much there's a lot of people in management in the hockey world that do not like Gary Mason, and we saw exactly why. If later on in the day, it was revealed that he left out a crucial part of that interview. He left out the part that, if we can win some games, maybe we can make it work. But at the end of the day, Miller did end up getting traded, and it's when you look at it just in a bubble, it was like, why is Jim Rutherford doing this? But then the next day I listened to Ray Ferraro. He was on Donnie and Daly, and he said clearly that Rutherford doesn't really do anything unless without like a plan, like a greater idea. So now that a week has passed and Miller's gone, it's clear that what he was doing was preparing the market for Edel, Mancini, and a first. And then because originally when we heard the rumors, it was Ryan Lindgren, Hedel, and a first. People were really upset about that. So he was trying to temper everyone's expectations, like, hey, we're not really going to get much for him because we don't have a lot of leverage. He's got a no trade contract, and now it makes a lot more sense. And all you can really do now as an organization is move forward. Miller's gone, and Hedel looks good, and Marcus Pettersson. You can make the argument that overall the team's gotten better, but we'll see as time goes on.
Yeah, I think we maybe talked a little bit about this earlier, but definitely still looking to get probably another second line center, because that's probably the big missing piece. But with JT Miller leaving, I think it's going to be one of those situations where it's addition through subtraction, because now that drama is finally gone.
I'd actually argue right now that even if they bring another center in, let's say they bring in Dylan Cousins or Josh Norris, I'm just spitballing here. Like Pettersson has just been so poor this season that the best case scenario right now is last season Pettersson was a third line center in the playoffs. Lindholm and Miller were the top two centers. So I think the best thing they can do moving forward, the rest of this season at least, is if you get another center, either put Pettersson on the wing or just put Pettersson as your third line center and have him play just strong defensive minutes. Give him a couple of fast wingers, because you're not going to get any offense out of him. He has 4 points in the last 10 games. I don't really expect him to get any better, even if he takes the next 2 weeks off of the Four Nations. Your best bet is get another young center, have them rotate top six duties with Philip Hedel, and have Elias Pettersson as your third line center for the rest of the year. I know it's a bad look. He's making $11.6 million, but he's performing at that level of a solid third line center. So I don't know what they have to do to get his game back to the Pettersson that we all know and love, but send him to Sweden, jack his knees up with some stem cells. You got to do something, because that is an insane investment to get just the 58, 60 point pace.
I've heard comparisons to the Nylander contract in Toronto, because when Nylander signed his big deal, he really didn't pick up the pace of what he should be doing for the contract that he was. And obviously we don't want to wait 4 years for Pettersson to get to the form of an $11.6 million player. The other thing I've heard too is obviously Pettersson dealing with his knee injury. He didn't really show up to camp in the shape that the Canucks wanted. And that was probably one of the issues that JT Miller had too, which I heard is that he was kind of upset with the shape that Pettersson showed up in. Do you think moving into next season, that's where the real hammer is going to come down on PD after this season, because he's going to have a full off season to train without injury? Or is it just kind of like we're all ready to hammer him now?
I think progressively, depending on how well the team is doing, if the team comes out the gates hot next year and he's on like a 50, 60 point pace again, then the noise won't be that loud. But if the team is bad and he's bad again, remember, winning cures everything. Um, like, but if his performance, if he has a negative performance and that coincides with negative team performance, then people are really going to start hammering that Miller trade, and they're going to start saying, "Hey, we should have moved Pedersen for a younger guy when we had an opportunity. We should have moved forward with Miller and Kent Johnson or Miller and Cousins." But I really hope Pedersen is able to bounce back. There's the chance that he doesn't, and that would be brutal. And if that happens next season as well, I don't even know if you can move him. I feel like it's a now or never thing. If you trade him before the end of this year, before the trade deadline, I should say, then you've got a chance. But you're betting that he returns to form if you decide to come back into training camp with him next year.
I think you've seen a slight adjustment too. I believe they've changed the lineup now. So it looks like Garland's playing on Pedersen's line. It looks like Besser's moved over to the Hedo line. Obviously, Talkett's not done tinkering. How have you felt about the Canucks game so far through 40 minutes?
I thought the first period they were lucky to get out of the first period up. Tied.
Mm-hmm.
Colorado hit a couple of posts. The second period, I thought Filipino was their best forward again, which is pretty incredible. Just I didn't think I'd be saying that after, what is it, 5 periods now, that our best forward is Filipino, but life comes at you fast. But first period, lucky that they got bailed out by 2 posts. Second period came out hot, out shooting them, got that early goal. And oh my, got to give a shout out here to Thatcher Demko and DPD for that amazing sequence where Demko looked like Vezina Demko again. And I know he had a poor game against Dallas, but the game before that against Nashville, he looked like he was on his game again. And you got to remember, if Demko is on his game and he's like a 920, 930 save percentage guy, he gives you that much more of a competitive edge over Kevin Lankinen. Kevin Lankinen has been great this year, but he's like a career 905, 908 guy.
Mm-hmm.
So if Demko can get back to those elite levels, then Canucks can really go on a run here. If they win tonight, hopefully they're able to pull it off. 4-1-1 in their last 6. So I like how they've played so far. They need to tighten it up a little bit, but it's amazing what you can do once you get Juleson out of the lineup. DPD looks really mobile out there, really fast, but he's also very, very good stretching the puck out of his zone, which is something that he's been known for since when he was drafted. So I'm really excited to see if they can pull this one off here against not just an elite team, but also a team that they are chasing in the wildcard standings. Looks like Calgary is down as well against Toronto, and then Avalanche have that number 1 wild card. So, Kings are on a bit of a slump. Vegas has lost 4 in a row. They're on a big slump, so we can catch up to some of these teams here.
Yeah. I was going to ask you too about DPD, as in like Elias Pettersson. Let's try and get that one right.
Yeah.
You think he's pretty much solidified himself as a spot in the lineup now with the play that he's had in the last few games, or is it still one of those things you're going to see him kind of coming in and out of the lineup?
But here's how I look at it. His first 2 games, he was really raw, but you saw that there was some potential there.
Mm-hmm.
His third game, the last game against Detroit, he was incredible. But then again, Detroit was on a back-to-back. It's just one game. He looks remarkable again tonight. His ability to adjust to new situations coming from Sweden and going to the AHL. And he looked really poor in the preseason. He was really raw. He was throwing the puck up the middle. But just 30 games in the AHL, 2 games in the NHL, he gets his feet wet, and now he looks like a polished veteran out there. It's amazing how people were saying he's 2 years in Sweden, 2 years in the AHL, and then maybe he'll be like a contributor at third pairing guy. He'll top out as a third pairing guy. He looks like a third pairing guy already.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I like to say, send him back to the AHL, make sure he's properly seasoned and you don't destroy his confidence at the NHL level. Look at alternatives. I don't want to see Noah Juleson back in there. I don't want to see Carson Soucy if Carson Soucy doesn't play the way he has so far tonight. So solidify. I don't want to say solidified as in let's run with this guy for the rest of the season. It's been 4 games. Let's pump the brakes a little bit. But I like what I've seen. I mean, he reminds me of a young Alex Edler when Alex Edler when he first came in 2006, 2007. Very smooth, just calm and composed. And these guys that are physically built, they're not like the Quinn Hughes and Lane Hudsons of the world who come in and they get physically dominated. These guys can step in and play right away.
Yeah, and even see him always throwing his weight around a little bit. Even, it's nice to see you got a couple guys back there now. Like Marcus Pettersson's been throwing his weight around a little bit. Even though he's a lanky little guy, he still is, puts himself in that proper body position to not crush a guy, but to separate him from the puck. And I think you've seen that one a couple times tonight. So after both trades, I feel like the depth on defense has just gotten a little better when you're looking at Juleson being on the outside looking in.
Yeah, and I think with the top 4 that they have set up right now, if you remember the Nashville Predators in 2017, how they made the finals, they had no star forwards, no offense, and that's why they lost to the Penguins, because Pens were able to roll out like Malkin, they were able to roll out Crosby. But that defense with Roman Josi, Ekholm, Ellis, and Subban, very mobile, pretty nasty. They can score, they can hit, they can kill penalties, and I think if the Canucks want to make a run this year, they're going to have to rely on that top 4. Getting Pettersson was huge. So if you're rolling out Pettersson, Hughes, Roenick, Myers, 25 minutes each per night, then you can just delegate your bottom pairing, Soucy and Pettersson, for like penalty killing. Just throw them out there against the 4th line. And but if the Canucks want to go far, they can really just rely on that back end. That top 4 looks pretty good.
Yeah. Who would have thought we'd be saying such nice things about the Chaos Draft? But it's nice to see the former Calder Trophy winner actually doing what he does out there, and he's been stepping up in the play and been looking really solid as a defenseman back there for us.
Yeah, I was concerned that he was going to bring down Hughes' game, because early in Hughes' career, he was that wasn't a really good pairing. But now it's a combination of, I guess, Hughes just taking that next step, but also under Adam Foote, Kyle Myers has been really good as well. So that's a really exciting pairing. You can also go Pettersson, Roenick. They haven't been playing together so far, but we'll see when Hughes is back what they're going to do with the lines. I think they'll go Hughes, Myers, Pettersson, Roenick to start, but after you get about a 10, 15 game sample size, you take a look at the analytics and see what your best option is going forward.
Do you want to just give the chat a little bit of a preview of what your most recent video was? Because you've been doing a lot of Team Canada content with the Four Nations Cup coming up. What can they expect when they're tuning in for your latest video?
So my last video was about the 1996 World Cup of Hockey, which the Canadians lost in a 3-game final against the United States. I decided to take a look back at pretty stacked Canadian roster. They weren't able to pull it off, but you can learn from the past mistakes that you've made. And our biggest rival right now is the United States, not just on the ice, what they're producing with guys like Eichel and Austin Matthews and whatnot. Off the ice, all this political nonsense that's going on. I'm not going to comment on that, but it's going to make for a pretty heated tournament. A lot of people in my comment section were saying that they're not really looking forward to the tournament, but I think we really need to get behind our boys here. I'm not an Oilers fan, but I will be cheering on McDavid.
Yeah, I don't like cheering for Brad Marchand, but I will be once you get the Nova Scotia Mafia line together, right?
Exactly. I really hope that we can come together as a country here. I've never seen this country this divided the last 10 years. It's been a shit show, but finally we have something that can hopefully bring us together, and I might make a video on that as well.
Yeah, I feel like when the puck drops, Canada's going to get involved.
Hopefully, I really hope so.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you, brother, for joining the show today. Everyone was very excited to see you, and I'm sure we'll have you on again sometime soon.
Thanks. I do apologize to everyone out there for the audio issues. It's the mic that fucked me up here.
Yeah, we got you, brother. We'll talk to you soon. All right, brother. Enjoy the rest of the game.
All right. See you guys. Bye.
Nothing is perfect.